Hello, welcome to Herdstone Painting. My name's Mark, and today we're painting a Grail Knight from the Blood Bowl Season 3 edition. So, Bretonnians were a team in Blood Bowl 2, the computer game, and they were accepted for NAF tournaments probably 2015 or 16. I'm not quite sure of the dates, but Greebo did a great team, and I'm going to try and reimagine it with these new lovely Games Workshop plastics. But we're starting with the skin. Now the skin is the lowest part of the models and there's not a lot of it. You could paint this later, but I feel it's good to pick it out now because I think it could quite easily get mistaken for leathers or fabrics, and it is quite hard to distinguish. I think I will struggle with some of the other models as I paint the rest of the team. But you're going to go in with Bugman's Glow to start and get all of the areas base coated with a couple layers, and then get in there with Reichland Flesh Shade, to wash them sections and get a little bit of shade. You don't want to pull too much of this because it's not a lot of space. We're almost just adding it for the edges really. And then we'll get in there with some Cadian Flesh Tone and relayer over, only leaving the shade in the corners. The Bugman's Glow just brings it out a little bit more, and we will do mixture of skin tones for these teams, but we're doing a kind of Caucasian approach here. And then we'll get Kiss Their Flesh, and these paints are quite watered down, and we'll relayer that mostly on the surface, sort of with the top staying with the more darker pink, blending down to that really pale skin tone, until finally getting Flayed One Flesh on, effectively highlighting that lower section. You want the lighter area of the skin to be lower on the model, with the higher section being hidden by clothes or armour in this case. Moving on to all the leathers. I mean, it's brown, black leather or fabric, you decide, but we're going to do it all at the same time. So starting with the black section. So the original team didn't have a lot of black, it was mostly purple, but I've removed that. I feel it's a bit too contrasting. Maybe 10 years ago I thought it was a bit too basic, so I've gone in and switched it out for black. So we're going with Corvus Black on a lot of the fabric, and then Rhinox Hide on the boots and on the gloves and some other elements. And you're going to want to do 2 coats of both of these base coats, but we'll be washing them with the same thing, which is quite helpful. So we'll move in with Nuln Oil and wash both. The kind of top section of him as well is Rhinox Hide. I wasn't quite sure what to paint that, but it feels quite nice being Rhinox Hide. I didn't want it to be too bright because it's going to get a lot brighter. We'll then relayer over both of these with Rhinox Hide, leaving the recesses, the Nuln Oil. It works really well on both. Rhinox Hide's a great colour, and I feel Corvus Black's a great colour too. Here's the Corvus Black. Now, these areas are larger and flatter, so you're going to want this layer to be watered down a little bit more, especially on the larger areas of the coats, the cloak elements above him. So just work your way down it and build it in. For the brown elements, we'll get Goreful Brown now, and we'll edge highlight all of the Rhinox Hide sections around the fingers and around the fabric. And then we'll get Baneblade Brown as a real top highlight for all of this, and just pop it on the very edges of the knuckles, fingers, and any of the sort of sharper elements on the gloves and boots. That normally will be at the front of the boots, at the apexes of the gloves. And we're going to do the same thing with the Corvus Black. We're going to get Mechanica Standard Grey, and we're going to edge highlight everything, but then we're also going to go in and paint some thin lines just on the highest parts of the creases. And then we'll do the same as we've done with the brown. We'll get some Dawnstone and just do those real edges just to make them really pop. We want these colours to seem quite dull because we're about to apply some really bright colours, and that's what's so lovely about Blood Bowl. You can get away with doing crazy stuff like this with models you normally wouldn't. So the original models had they were yellow armoured with a sort of cream tunics, and then purple as the accent colour. But we're going to stick with our cream cloaks here. We're going to paint 2 thin layers of Wraithbone, which is quite high. It's quite a bright colour, but we're going to wash it now with Seraphim Sepia. And I missed the actual application here, but you can see how it turns out. There's something wrong with my wash. I think I'm going to buy a new one. It seems to sort of be pooling and like looking glossy, but it gives us what we need just to tone it down a little bit and darken it. And then we're going to go back in with Wraithbone again, quite watered down, and pretty much pick out everything again, leaving it in the recesses and in them deepest areas of the cloaks. And we can use the Wraithbone to kind of blend it into that Seraphim Sepia in most cases. It is tough with these these cloaks and these cloths that make them look smooth, but you can always repaint over and rewash. And then we're going to go with White Scar, a little bit like we've done with the Corvus Black sections. We're going to edge highlight all of this and then just paint a few extra lines on the highest elements of the cloak. And then moving on from that, we're going to go with the crazy Paravon armor. So Paravon's heraldry is yellow and black with a black Pegasus in our case. So we're going with crazy yellow armor. I did it before and we're going to do it again. So Avalanche Sunset is your sort of hero here. It does a lot of the lifting, heavy lifting. So 2 thin coats of the Avalanche Sunset, which is a great colour. And again, we're moving in with the Seraphim Sepia, matching what we did with the Wraithbone. And we can add that over all of this. It doesn't need to sort of flood the areas. You also just want to paint it over to get the recesses into the rivets and the facial sections. And then we're going to paint back over with Avalanche Sunset again. 2 coats. It's a great paint. It's very, very good base coat, but it does need to be thinned. And then we'll edge highlight with Uriel Yellow. So we're going to go around all of the edges in this case, and we're also going to paint all of the rivets. On the face, we're going to just paint one side of the breathing holes and the eyelid slit. And then Flash Gits Yellow can just be used to just top off those rivets and just paint all the real peaks of the edge highlighting. And it does look crazy. I love it. It does look crazy, but of course, you know, if you have a color scheme you want to try, give us a shout in the comments and we'll maybe come up with some colors if you want to paint blue or red or whatever, so we can come up with a bit of a theory. We're going to go in with Black Templar though now, and we're going to paint in all of those the holes in the face, or holes in the mask. So we're going to paint them in just so they stand out a little bit more, because they just vanish otherwise. The Seraphim Sepia is just not dark enough to make them look good. So we want to paint the white elements now. So we've gone with the Lady of the Lake at the top, along with a few other bits and bobs around the model, but mainly it's the shield on the back. So 2 watered down coats should suffice. It's a great base coat, but you do need to water it down to get the best out of it. And by watering it down, you're able to, use the brush to guide this line, and you also want to just use your hand and pull it down straight. Hold the model steady and pull the brush down straight, and you can always go back in there and just keep touching it up. And if you do make a mistake, Avalanche Sunset's a great base coat to repaint over, but the key is it being watered down. It just keeps it really nice across the back. So we're going to mix non-oil 50-50 with Lamy and medium and wash this over all the white elements. It works better than a grey wash. I feel that you do want that darkness in the white sections. The grey just, I don't know, it washes it out a little bit too much. It's sometimes useful, but not in this case. So we'll go back in with Corax White and pretty much relayer over everything, leaving that, like I say, almost watered down non-oil wash in the recesses. And then White Scar, just pick out the top elements and it gives you a really nice white finish. Sure, on larger models you're going to need to do more, but for these little bits it's perfect. So we've got belts and straps and other fun things. We've already got a lot of brown and black on this model, so I went with Mornfang Brown, which is a lovely earthy brown colour, and we're just painting all of the belts, all the straps. There's loads of them on this model. I'm sure I've missed 1 or 2 anyway, as it is with this guy, but you want to work your way around each arm and leg and just paint them in. You may have to go back over it again and find some more, but when you've done the base coating, get in with a small old brush and grab some Agrax Earthshade and do your best to try not to get this on the rest of the model. If it bleeds onto anything else slightly, like near the straps, that's fine. That'll add to the deepness, it'll add to the washes that are already there. We'll then mix some Mournfang Brown with Deathclaw Brown, which are two really nice colours. They work really well together, almost like a terracotta-y finish. And we're just going to go run around all the edges of the straps, top and bottom, and then finally Deathclaw Brown just in the top elements of these sections. There's a lot of them. I'm dreading painting the rest of the team because it's just so many straps to do. But it is what it is. Moving on to the metals. So we've got a couple here, considering we've not done any metal armor. We're going to do a bit of a warm coppery finish on a few elements, like this little box on his back and on the sort of halo above his head. And we're going to use Screaming Bell. Now with metals, you want to water them down, not on a wet palette, but off a wet palette. But as you keep applying a little bit extra water to the paint until you feel it's too broken up. You want to then get some more paint out of the pot. Once the Screaming Skull's dry, we want some Agrax Earthshade on this. It looks great on Screaming Skull. And then we're just going to get some Ruin Lord Brass, which works really nicely with this colour, and just edge highlight all of the top sections of the halo and all the top sections of that chest on his back. And then weirdly, Iron Hand Steel I find just highlights these two really well. I think Storm Host Silver's too far, but Iron Hand Steel's just right. And you just want to pick out the real apexes of these elements. Iron Hand Steel, there's not a lot on this guy. There's loads of little like buckles and things to paint, because of course there's lots of straps, but there's also the knuckle dusters, as well as a few other little bits around the model. And then we'll get in and wash them. So the shields have that silver, so we're going to just quickly gently wash that Nuln Oil in. Take your time, of course. If you need to, it can pull on other elements a little bit, and it will just marry it all together. But once it's dry, we're not going to go in with any more Iron Hand Steel. We're just going to go in directly with Stormhost Silver. There's just not enough of the silver to need more highlights, so we can save some time here. Now I wanted to make sure there was a little bit of purple. I feel past Mark was a little bit brash with the colour choices. We're going to just add a little bit of purple onto the sort of beads that are holding a little ornament or a little lucky charm. So we're going to paint Nagaroth Knight as the base coat. A colour I very rarely use, but it is a lovely colour. Just going to paint the beads, and we'll quickly wash it with Nuln Oil. Nice and easy. Not a purple wash. The purple wash is actually lighter, I find, than the Nagaroth Knight. It's almost the same colour. And then we'll get in with Xerius Purple and just highlight those final few beads. I think it does show, it shows me, after all these years, it's been about 8 years, just how much you develop as a painter just from continuing to do it. So we'd already based this guy with a bit of texture paint. Right, it was dry up bark, Nuln Oil, dry brush with Goreful Brown, and then we put the flock on. Once that flock was dry, we were able to just get an old brush, some white scar, just paint a line. It can be any direction, but as long as it's nice and straight on the model, you want to almost just tickle the grass with it. Does that make sense? And it'll just paint the top of that grass. It shouldn't be painting the entire deep down into the roots. It should just be the top of it. And then with that's our guy done. So he's number 1. We put some transfers on there. I think he turned out pretty good. He's kind of a nice homage to the original team. I feel like it's a lot cleaner. Not having the purple makes it less visually offensive. But I did realise, of course, that I couldn't find any Pegasus transfers anywhere. So I managed to get in contact with a chap on Etsy called Forgotten Chapters, and I managed to purchase a whole sheet of different sizes of the Pegasus symbol that we came up with, and it fits on the back perfectly. So this is the final model with that Pegasus symbol, and here they are together. I've already got a video of the Sunstroke Saboteurs up of a Tomb King Blitzer, but I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. These two will be on the pitch soon, I'm sure. But until next time, like and subscribe, and if you didn't, then thanks for stopping by. See you later.